limiting principle Christmas. We wish you a limiting principle Christmas. We wish you a limiting principle Christmas and a not retarded year. Never be retarded on Christmas. Reject retardation on Christmas. Death to retardation on Christmas. Have a very Merry Christmas and don't be retarded, but bring a helmet just in case. Have a very Merry Christmas while watching the Limiting Principle podcast. The Limiting Principle.
So, everybody, welcome to the Limiting Principle podcast. I've done 2 solo episodes. I've been so lonely, and now Angel is back. Angel, thank you for not fully abandoning me. You're not allowed to go out in public anymore. You can't do things with people. You just need to do episodes of the show with me. Okay?
All right. Well, I mean, I am on a 2-week vacation, so we can just do an episode every day if you want.
Today, we're going to be talking about, what are we going to be talking about, Angel? The fall of the UK? The fall of Europe? The madness that's consuming them?
How the United Kingdom how England needs, I don't know, a bulldozer, something. I don't know. Like, it's just thinking of England bothers me right now.
Yeah, and it's kind of a lot of people rail against the idea of like natural rights and our rights coming from God, but it really does show the importance of that. It's a little outside of like Christian orthodoxy in terms of like Christian philosophy and theology. But I, as a, former, I don't even know what I am anymore, as a classical liberal, I was formerly a classical liberal. I don't really consider myself anything in terms of politics, in terms of an alignment. But in America, right, our rights are ordained from God. They're supposed to be. And so you can't trample on them. So the rights still exist, even if they create laws that violate those rights. But in the UK, they don't really have that. And we're seeing what happens when people create laws that there's no philosophy behind it, where they come from God. These laws just come from men. So they could basically do, whatever they want to the people over there as long as they change the laws.
Yeah, here's an idea. I don't know, maybe write down your rights on a piece of paper and make sure that's really important and make sure everything revolves around that and not other things. One of the things that I guess the thing I've been trying to drive into my students is your rights do not come from government. Your rights do not come from government. They come from somewhere else. It has to be something that is not a person, because then bad things happen from that. So you figure it out. You call it whatever you want, but it's not a person. So yeah, that's taken a few months.
Yeah, and it's funny. I'll talk to a like progressive, and I try to explain this concept to them, and they know the concept because they've grown up in America and they went through the educational system. But it's definitely wearing away with every generation. And there's been a purposeful wearing away of that. The idea of introducing the Constitution as this sort of like living and breathing document, so you could just change it as the times go along, even though, I know they've always changed it with amendments and whatnot. But I try to point this out to people and they just don't care. Like, the progressivism does not care because, they just view it as the laws and these rules that were written down on paper were created by, evil white men. And it's just really frustrating to see them put their faith.
Social constructs and stuff like that, so they don't really even exist. It's not like you can lick the First Amendment, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, the whole social construct thing cracks me up.
Though that's different.
What? Tell me what.
I'm just saying you can lick the Second Amendment. That's different.
Yeah. The whole social construct thing cracks me up because, like, whatever your ideology is, and if it's like based especially in theology, you view it as objectively true, right? Like, you're like, no, this is a truth of the universe and we should organize society around that. So whatever ideology or theology that you believe in, you can just, like, a Protestant Christian can look at a progressive atheist and be like, these rules that you're trying to apply here, they're not really rules. You've just made them up. But then the progressive atheist can do it right back to the Protestant Christian. So it's like everything, all of these different rules and these laws that have been put in place are a social construct to the people that don't believe in them and don't want to believe in them. You can just like go down that rabbit hole and it's like, okay, everything's just a social construct and we just have to enforce our will. So the fall of the UK. In the last solo episode I did, I actually showed so it was an MP, right? Some sort of government official. And he was in the Labour Party. We're going to be talking about the Labour Party here a little later, I think. The Labour Party is largely made up of Fabian socialists. The Fabian socialists created the Labour Party, and it's a
perfect. I was going to say, could you give a rundown on like the different political parties in England, because they all seem basically the same to me.
So the two major parties in the UK are the Conservative Party, known as the Tories, and the Progressive, more socialist party, known as the Labour Party. And the Labour Party was created by the Fabian Socialists, and the Fabian Socialists infiltrated the UK like massively. They've also infiltrated the United States. The Democrats are largely Fabian Socialists. Fabian Socialists are basically a group of communists that do not so much support a aggressive revolutionary movement, like toppling towers and hanging politicians in the street. They like slow reform. Slow incremental reform in order to eventually reach the same stage of communism or socialism that a more radical Marxist may like. And the Labour Party is largely responsible for the immigration policies that are destroying the UK, the Muslim immigrants coming in, not being able to get along with the native population. We're going to be talking about the Pakistani grooming gangs, or you could more accurately call them rape gangs. And I have a video here.
Thank you for clearing up what a Fabian socialist is, because when you're like Fabian, I'm like, wait, are you talking about like Fabian, like Fabius Fabian, like Quintus Fabius Maximus Verrucosus from Rome Fabius?
Yeah, no, the Fabians are renowned. Like the most famous Fabian image, it's either a guy with like a hammer, I think, and he's breaking the world. And so he's going to like shatter the world and change it and remake it in the image of what they believe. The other famous Fabian image is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Obviously, the big issue that everyone's aware of in the UK is the quote unquote migrant crisis. Massive amounts of influx of Muslims, Pakistanis being flown in, bussed in to different parts of Europe, but especially in the UK, there's a large, rather nativist movement with the big speaker of it. The big head of it is Tommy Robinson. The Muslims are not integrating into the population. They're abducting native children. I think it's like there's been like over 1,000 like kids that have been groomed and raped and turned into sex slaves or something like that. They talk about it a little bit on The Blaze. Let's check that out.
100 years ago, Great Britain dominated the seas and controlled roughly a quarter of the world's land and population. Today, Britain can't even defend its own children from foreign predators on its own soil.
You don't think?
Yes, you have a knife.
You don't. Hell, prove it.
Why are you fucking with us?
Get bashers.
Show the knife. Show the knife. Show the
Away from her.
Show the knife. Show the knife.
Don't touch her.
That's it. That's it. Show the knife.
Don't touch my leg.
Show the knife. That's it.
Do you remember when this video was released?
Oh my god! And all the images they made of her, like a fucking Highlander or something.
I know. I love that as soon as something becomes like relevant in the political sphere, there's just instant memes about it.
Just the propaganda is so viciously.
Oh yeah. And but no, this girl was we're gonna hear about it, but I believe she was approached by migrants, and the girl had heard about what was happening to all these kids with Pakistani rape gangs, so she armed herself in the event of being accosted.
Dude, like just on a very basic thing, like if you're like walking in a park or something and like a child is coming your way, especially if it's a child of another gender, like you don't walk into them, like into their personal space, like you fucking go around them, like you make it obvious that you're not approaching them. Like that's fucking basic 101 being a human. Like that, like if you can't do that, like I'm sorry, you have problems.
Yep. And it's funny too, because the boomers have been talking about this forever. Oh, political correctness is this big evil. Political correctness is killing us. Political correctness is that, to the point where it almost became like a meme, especially on the left. It's like, oh, there goes political correctness again. But that's what this is. It's thinking that you can take these people from a different land with completely different values. A lot of them, specifically the Pakistanis, are inbred. I think the stats are like somewhere between like 60 to 70 to 80% of married Pakistani men and women that have kids are inbred, and their IQs are very low on average.
Because there's too much to talk about right now.
What'd you say?
I don't know, because the first thing is, okay, hold on, like, why are you bringing in these people? Like, why are you bringing in people from Pakistan? Just why?
Yeah.
What reason?
Well, we are going to we will get conspiratorial in a little bit. Let's keep watching.
Don't f***ing touch my little sister. She had f***ing 12. You're jumping up. We ain't called touching me. She had f***ing 12 and you just battered me, man. You ain't like touching me.
I do love this girl, by the way. She's so badass. Like, just, I mean, it's terrible that she's put in this situation. She should not have to
turn around and walk away. Like,
yeah. But she's so bad. She's so badass, though. You know, she's like, I'm going to carry a knife, which might even be illegal in the
Might.
I know they've been trying to pass legislation, and Idris Elba, the actor, was like sponsoring it and like promoting it about having some sort of law put in place where like the butcher knives and the knives that are sold in stores would have to have the tips removed. So it's like, oh yeah, you guys don't have guns and there's not a bunch of people shooting each other, but you have to augment your kitchenware so people aren't going around stabbing native citizens or stabbing each other. It's just absurd.
Yeah, no, hold on. But like going back to, because I just got reminded of the whole Piers Morgan talking to, oh my gosh, that one of those Republican people running for one of the states, Valentina something, like it was that chick who was like burning the Quran and shit.
She's like, yeah, no, she's basically apparently she's just a social media influencer that goes from state to state and runs for things for attention and clicks. That's basically who she is.
Yeah, I would imagine that's not someone normal running. But she was asked by Piers Morgan, if I specifically remember, about like, you know, our guilt with Iran, and it's like, or not with Iran, with with Iraq and the war on terror, and it's like, do we owe them anything? And it's like, hold on, wait a second. Why would you? Okay, so we just bombed your country, we killed 1 million of your people or a few 100,000. Hey, do you want to come to our country? Like, I don't even understand that, because obviously the dislike towards the country that just waged war on you, I would imagine that the people who went there wouldn't actually like the people who just bombed them, or their family members or their compatriots or anything like that. So why are you inviting the enemy? That's the thing about, why are you specifically inviting the enemy, and then you're shaming people for not wanting them in there? Because the obvious logical conclusion is, hey, if you bombed my country and then you invited me in, I'd say, oh, yes, absolutely. I would want a future by taking your money, taking your jobs, and then, you know what, like colonizing you back, because fuck you, I'm going to own some of your property, I'm going to do what I want, and I'm going to turn that place into my home country. And that's just me saying things and following the law. Like,
and they'll just call you a racist, or it's funny, it's, you know, they say Islamophobe.
What I'm saying is, this is a logical conclusion, and if you cannot do that, you don't have theory of mind. You can't actually get out of your own bullshit. You can't get out of your own ideology and actually put yourselves in the shoes of someone else. It's funny, the people who talk about empathy actually don't have it, don't actually understand being in someone else's shoes and having some sort of hatred or because of a bombing, because I don't know, when's the last time we got bombed?
Yeah, plus think about it, all of those wars in the Middle East are now largely derided, as Trump ran on, and they're viewed as just pointless wars. So it is our fault for rendering these countries into a state of devastation. And obviously there's a lot of truth to that, but it's like, okay, but like, I'm really sorry, but our leaders made that decision. Our leaders made that decision. So now they feel bad. And so they're going to bring all these people here. That's not my fault. I'm really sorry that George Bush did that, but it's not my fault.
Because And once again, the American taxpayer, the American citizen is a fucking punching bag of everything. We have to pay the taxes. We have to pay for everything. We have to fund everything. We have to absorb all the Wall Street BS and fraud and things like that. And it's like, oh, yes, because we elites, we decided to bomb the shit out of another country. You peasants now have to live next to them.
Yep.
Okay, it'd be one thing if it was like, okay, all these Muslim people, all right, you're going to Martha's Vineyard, you're going to, the special places in New York City.
That was great when that happened.
No, but that's not the case. You're going to go live with the poor, unwashed peasants, which is fine. They can go suffer, and then the rich can live in their ivory towers. Like that's the problem I have with people like Piers Morgan, because you don't really have to deal with them, because if you're wealthy enough, like Bill Maher, you don't actually care about what happens around you because whatever. Continue.
Yeah, plus Piers is he's anti-woke, he's anti-woke, he's anti-trans, but he's still just a progressive shitlib. He's still afraid. He still thinks that wanting to kick out a bunch of illegal immigrants, and which a large percentage of them, a decent percentage of them, are going around raping kids. He's like, oh no, that's wrong, but you don't want to be Islamophobic. Yeah, it's just moral cowardice.
Oh my God.
Yeah, shoulder knife. Maracha.
What you're doing to me, don't talk to me.
That video, the still image of it, has been on my mind all week long. Joining us now with more is Matthew Marsden. He's a Blaze contributor, actor, producer extraordinaire, and you're from here. You know what is going on back in Britain right now, and I just see this, and we see a frightened 14-year-old girl, right, and she has a bladed weapon, and she was charged for possessing a bladed weapon to try and defend her 12-year-old sister. So how does Britain get to the point where, like, you can't even...
I'm gonna keep playing the video, but just for clarification, mace is illegal in the UK, I believe. They're just taking away people's ability to defend themselves. It's insane.
And rely on anyone. These kids are out there fending for themselves, as we saw in that video.
Well, this is inevitable. When I moved to the United States around 2000. The mass immigration to the UK had started under the Tony Blair government in around 1997. And, it's very often, it's kind of like boiling the frog, right? Like when you boil the frog, the heat comes up gradually. That's what was happening in the UK over the past 25 years. Now, for me, going back there, I saw a massive difference, especially in the last 5 years. I was over in the UK last summer. I went there twice, and it was very, very, very different. It was literally like visiting a foreign country. They're in real dire straits, and the problem is, in the same way you've seen the American public be gaslit on so many different things, the Brits have really, really been gaslit on this. There's a two-tier justice system, even though they're saying that there isn't. There clearly is. And you have a situation like this, just so that people know, like, if you look at that footage that was there in the say over here, the apartment block that's behind it, we call them flats over in the UK, that is basically the project. So that is like where I grew up. And this is where the majority of this is occurring, because what they're doing is the British government is putting these, I just want migrants, because they're not migrants, right? We need to find a better word for them. They're putting them into these working class, low income areas. And these people who are, they've been told for years that their opinion doesn't matter anyway. They're being marginalized, and then they're being told, listen, we can't even help you. So this is what happens, because a lot of these kids in these working class areas have been subject to the grooming gangs that we've famously seen, and then they're told these aren't the droids you're looking for. In fact, they're told that you're racist if you highlight the fact that these are mainly Pakistani grooming gangs. That's just a fact. So it's got to this point now. Now, I do want to say that on this clip, the Daily Mail actually said that the person who was filming it was someone that went there. They did go there. They are a migrant, but they've been there for like 4 years or something like that. And I believe they were from, I think it was from maybe Bulgaria or something like that. But again, that's kind of like a red herring, isn't it? Because what we should be focusing on is why these little girls feel like they have to do this. This is not normal.
Yeah, exactly. That was kind of like in, what was it? that town where they said that the Haitians were eating the dogs, eating the cats. And JD Vance actually commented on this, and he pushed the idea, and there wasn't a ton of evidence that, like, they found that one guy, there was a picture of him carrying like a goose, but then it turned out, I guess, that the goose was like dead. So he was like carrying the goose to like get rid of his corpse. But the whole grooming gang thing was a large push by the right wing to like move the conversation towards the problem of all of these migrants that are just being plopped in these relatively small towns. Like that was like that was like sort of the reason for why that narrative was pushed.
Okay, so you mentioned the whole goose thing. Okay, so like when I just think of they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, like stuff like that doesn't surprise me at all, just because, like, okay, I live in Miami and I've seen like Wajitos. Okay, I should probably like Hispanic rednecks, like Cuba.
No, Hispanic rednecks are called Wajitos.
Yes, like that is. And I remember I was with my ex at the time, and we were walking, and there's a duck crossing the road, and I'm like, oh, how cute! There's this fat duck just crossing the road, and I see this cargo van, and I'm like, oh no, hurry, little duck! You should probably like go faster. And then the duck was waddling as fast as they could, and then the cargo van accelerated and it hit the duck and killed the duck, ran it over, and then it stopped, and I was like, what the fuck? And then the guy came out, and he was like wearing a ripped freaking like a white t-shirt with with holes all over it, jeans, the whole like plumber ass like sticking out. He freaking grabs the roadkill, opens up his cargo van, throws it in there, and just takes off. And I'm like, oh, motherfucker's gonna eat that thing. That's just common behavior in Cuba.
And he sped up. He sped up on purpose. Wow.
Yeah, like, and this is supposed, like, that guy probably has been in this country for 20, 30 years. Typical repair guy. Just minds his own business. If people like that who've been here for that long are doing that, and us Hispanics are supposed to be a quote unquote like, oh, we're the okay people, like, oh, Miami went red kind of thing. Like, okay, I can imagine how it is in other places. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah, I don't want to speculate, but I can speculate.
Yeah,
and I've seen bad enough.
Yeah, and I have this from ChatGPT, and I was looking this up in other areas, and I basically asked ChatGPT how many kids have been groomed by Pakistani grooming gangs. Accurate figures for how many children can't be found exactly. Official data doesn't support a precise count of grooming gang victims. Blah, blah, blah. I love this part because anytime you ever ask ChatGPT to explain any inconvenient statistics involving minority groups, the ChatGPT has been trained to always basically go, but it's not all these people, and also other people of other ethnicities commit crimes.
It's be very, very, very careful. Be very careful. Be very careful. Just don't make assumptions or anything like that.
It's so annoying.
Just don't believe your stupid eyes.
And so in 2023, in England and Wales, police recorded about 4,228 group-based child sexual abuse offenses. A small subset of the 115,000 plus child sexual abuse and exploitation recorded that year. Ethnicity data on the perpetrators is incomplete and unreliable. They don't have exact statistics on that, but it did note that a large proportion of victims were white, and a majority of identified perpetrators were male of minority ethnic backgrounds, including men of Pakistani heritage.
I just want to, I'm going to ask you a weird question, but trust me, it's part of this. Do you know what, when COVID happened, do you know what people always referred to COVID as, like the word that preceded COVID? They always said a specific word that went along with COVID, like the blank coronavirus.
The Chinese coronavirus?
Damn it. Kind of. Starts with an N.
I don't know.
Like book. It's like reading a long book.
Wait, what is it?
The novel coronavirus.
Oh, I forgot about that.
It's new. Notice it because it's new. Oh my God, we're freaking out. It's new. However, do not notice this new pattern of abuse. Like, yes, there's over 100,000, child victims. Don't notice this new spike, this huge spike that's occurring in this supposedly very tiny population that's supposed to be, mostly peaceful, fiery, but mostly peaceful. Like, just don't notice that. But we have to notice. That's the thing. We only can notice when the people tell us it's okay to notice. But if we notice on our own, then we're being evil, bastard, racist, bigots, homophobic, transphobic, Islamophobic people. So,
well, it's funny too because think about
you need it with permission.
Yeah, think about this. George Floyd dies, right? Evidence suggests that he wasn't even killed. Before he got out of the car, he couldn't breathe already, so he asked to be put on the ground. I wish Chauvin wouldn't have put his knee on like his sort of like lower neck, upper back, because if that wouldn't have happened, I'm pretty sure Floyd would have just died in overdose. I want Chauvin to get out of jail. I feel like it was basically a lynching what happened to him. And George Floyd dies. Worldwide protest, not just in the United States. Worldwide protests.
What was it, like 9 minutes? Like 9 minutes is a long fucking time, man.
George Floyd dies. Entire worldwide protests erupt. All of American society in some parts in Europe and stuff are revamped. It is like the Trojan horse for installing DEI programs into everything, guilting white people, guilting everyone in the country based on race. Massive protests in a giant worldwide revolution. Just one guy. And then this happens. Imagine if there were roving gangs of white dudes going around picking up black girls in the United States and raping them. What would happen? But then this happens to the privileged class, just white people in the UK, and they actually try to cover it up. It's just so, it is shocking to me that white people and just people that don't commit crime and don't want to have anything to do with this that aren't leftists, I can't believe they haven't like burned everything to the ground at this point. Like they must be, these people, not just white people, but just like conservative minded people and slightly more liberal people that aren't exact leftists who don't like this. These people are the most tolerant, patient people in the world, and yet they're castigated as the most evil. It's crazy. It's crazy. One black guy dies. Worldwide revolution. So Sadiq Khan is the mayor of London, and he was grilled pretty bad about the grooming gangs. Let's take a look at that.
Now, I'd like to go on to people that are victims of these rape gangs that I will keep going on, and I will continue, Mr. Mayor, until something happens about this. You've made previous assertions that London does not have the same type of grooming gangs as seen in Bradford, Manchester, Leeds, Sheffield, Newcastle, Middlesbrough, Blackpool, Keighley, Halifax, Huddersfield, Blackburn, Barrow, Nelson, Birmingham.
It just keeps going.
Nottingham, Coventry, Leicester, Derby, Aylesbury, Ipswich, Chelmsford, High Wycombe, Peterborough, Barking, Bristol, Banbury, everywhere but in London. Are you sure that we do not have the same gangs like the rest of the country?
Joe, that's not quite what I've said. What I've said is echoing the words of the commissioner now, and the assistant commissioner, I think Matt Twist, on previous occasions. They've both explained that there are serious issues in relation to child sex exploitation. They've both explained that there are a variety of examples of children being exploited, including grooming. And they've both explained, and I've echoed, that I've asked them to make sure no stone is left unturned. So they're going back 15 years, as they've been asked to do by the National Inquiry, using the wide definition given by the inquiry, which includes when more than one person grooms a young person, but also includes intrafamilial, peer-to-peer gangs. The particular focus of the police in the recent past, for obvious reasons, has been around county lines. And I think the Commissioner couldn't have been clearer when the member asked him a similar question at the last plenary.
The member will continue to ask questions.
Just obfuscation.
Hold on, no, like I just want to marvel for a second at the British accented people and their domination of the English language. Like they can be the most captivating people by saying like one or two sentences, or you could say a whole bunch of bullshit. Like I almost fell asleep 14 times just during this. This is like the third time I've seen this video. Like I've struggled like going through this just because he's saying nothing, zero things at all. Like you're just cutting yourself off with other sentences, and this is like, it's like you don't actually, I look at these people and it's like you don't actually care about women. You don't actually care about like you don't care about young girls. Like you actually care about the fair sex, and this pisses me off because that's what your entire that leftist whatever world globalist bullshit, the matriarchal future society is based off of. It is this like catering to women, except when they're being abused by Muslims. Like what's your obsession with like
Yeah,
On
and
a side note, like if we're supposed to, because I would imagine part of this dislike for like poor white people is this whole idea that they're inbred, which is totally like blown out of proportion, like completely blown out of proportion. Because like if we're supposed to dislike people because they're like poor unwashed masses and they're like inbred, then wouldn't the people from Pakistan be the number one people we should avoid, because like that's where it is, and honestly that's where we pull up the map where it shows like most inbred
Yes.
people in existence.
It's
And
funny.
it's like besides the Habsburg and Cleopatra, like it's like Pakistan and Saudi and a lot of these places that we would consider Muslim. Like I don't understand this catering to to Muslim people. I don't understand this obsession that we have.
There's a lot of reasons for it, right? I mean, it's mostly a guilt type thing for a lot of these people. There's a larger plan.
Guilt.
There's a larger plan behind this in terms of bringing in migrants that will clash with the native populations in order to achieve a certain end. That's why everyone's like, "Oh, Islam is a threat." I'm like, "Well, yeah, like Islam's a threat, but at the end of the day, we're all going to be ground into little tiny bits of paste, including the Muslims. Like the Muslims aren't going to rule over the world in a worldwide caliphate.
That's the thing. I want to discuss those things. But before we get into the specifics, at least for me, what makes more sense to me is just getting to the logical reason why you would. Like, why would I, as a leader, want to import a foreign population that might be hostile towards my native people? Oh, that's simple. Because I want more security in my nation. So if there's increased hostility, then people are going to vote for safety. And if people are going to vote for safety, that means that people are going to want or be okay with more surveillance as long as it's for the bad guys.
Bro,
did I just describe Palantir?
Palantir, Oracle, Project. That it's amazing that you said that, because that's the rest of this episode is where this is headed.
Like that's the thing. For me, if I can explain it in a logical way that like a sixth grader would get it, then it's like, oh fuck, like okay, that's really obvious then. Okay, shit, we should be careful with these kinds of people.
What are you talking about? These people, our elected officials, love us and they only want the best for us. I don't know what you're talking about. Stop that.
Obama, like, oh my god, I every time I think of Obama, I think of like the halo pictures that people took of him, like just so wonderful and beautiful.
He was
I'm jealous because my name's Angel. No one has ever in my life taken a picture of me that like makes it look like there's a halo around me. Like
Obama is a religious figure for the left. Really
just
quick,
like just for the right. I'm just
really
to the same people. They both suck. Both sides have to come to understand that. I fully believe the healing of America comes from the left realizing that Obama kind of fucking sucked, and then for the right to realize
they'll never realize that.
I know. Maybe there's a few, and for the right to realize, okay, like get off of Reagan's nuts for once. Like he wasn't that good, because like if he was the last great Republicans governor of California. Okay, then it turned blue after him. Then that means he fucking sucked donkey balls.
And he made a bunch of really bad decisions, specifically in terms of gun control. But I wanted to jump off of what you were saying before about this idea of like Southerners in the South of America being inbred. The progressive left truly does believe that it is the South's fault, right? The whole you could say the post-Civil War consensus.
Well, racism is the South's fault. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it's really funny. So
Louisiana,
they're like, the reason why black people are in the shape that they're in is because of the South. And it's like all these black people that are suffering with crime, poverty, etc., they all live either in blue states or massive cities that are not governed by conservatives. So it's like you're telling me that the opinion of some guy named like Cletus in Alabama to be derogatory towards our Southern brothers, it's that guy's fault because he holds a racist attitude. They truly think this. They believe that that person's mind must be, his wrong think must be fixed and be replaced with right think. I've had multiple of them people tell me this. I don't know I'm not sure, like the post-World War II consensus and the post-Civil War consensus. I would say those are the two dominant, like sort of secular religious concepts in America.
Well,
it's Hitler, white supremacy, and then the South white supremacy. That's their two dominant narratives.
Well, I mean, in a way, I mean, there are three American foundings in a sort of sense. You have the, 1776, obviously, but then you have the America 2.0, which is, washing the sin of slavery away. And then
Yeah.
you have America Empire, post World War II kind of thing, or
Yeah.
global or empire, something like that.
So I'm not going to watch too much more of this, but what he's saying here, there's obfuscation. It reminds me of when somebody's grilled, the Democrats grill about trans kids, and they just say a bunch of gobbledygook and don't actually address the issue. But here,
Questions, because every day that goes by,
I love this lady.
other girls and sometimes boys are groomed every single day. I still don't think you realize the impact your being so rude to me just under a year ago had when you said, "What does the member mean? What is she talking about?" You knew damn well what I was talking about because it's been going on for years. You're the mayor of this great city.
Mayor.
It's going on in London, and every day that goes by where we haven't got an inquiry in place, these girls and sometimes boys are suffering. And yet, if they look at your comments on it, you don't take it seriously enough. There should have been an inquiry put in place a long, long time ago. And you can look fed up with me asking if you like, but you better get used to it because I will not stop until we've got an inquiry in place and these past cases are looked at and resolved and these girls get some form of closure.
Well, Chief, if I can be given a similar time to respond to that question / speech.
What a prick.
I'd remind colleagues
that
when Alexis J undertook her inquiry and made a number of recommendations.
He says a bunch of nothing, just obfuscation.
I was going to say, please don't.
Oh no, I can't.
Because it's just a bunch of bullshit that will probably be cut anyways because it's just dead air at that point. Like I can't stand that.
Now, what you said, right? Introduce a foreign population into the country, cause massive unrest. People ask for safety, and they are given safety through technocratic surveillance means. What do you know? Starmer moves on digital ID for workers.
2 million people have signed a petition against it. And it's interesting, Adam, one of Starmer's arguments around why they need to implement this digital ID to be mandatory for all workers is it would help make borders more secure. I don't think he has any credibility on that issue. And if you want to look at, what states of America.
Yeah, just like you said. You said. Your conspiracy theory came true 5 minutes later.
Bro, it's just it's
a nightmare world. We're living in hell. We're in hell. It's just it's crazy too because there has been a conspiracy theory forever. It has been discredited as a white supremacist anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, which is funny because even if it doesn't involve Jewish people, one crazy person throws Jews in, and then the entire conspiracy theory is then discredited in the eyes of the people because that person's just obsessed with Jews. It's really frustrating because Catholics are involved in this. There's so many different groups involved in this. There's Jewish people involved in this. I always say that it's anti-Semitic. An example of Jew hatred to not assume that some Jews can't be in charge of some sort of globalist conspiracy to destroy the West. That's anti-Semitic. There are certain Jews that could do that. Why do you hate Jews so much? That's what I try to tell people. They usually don't like it because I'm talking to a Zionist when that happens most of the time.
Oh my God.
So let her keep going.
America managed to get its border under control without digital ID, but there is this genuine concern that, that there's this push for digital IDs really about, and it's being driven by money and this idea for greater control.
Yeah, certainly. I think that is true. And just on the migration issue, of course, the US is not an island like the UK, so it should be much easier for the UK to control immigration than the US. But, this is not the problem that the British people wanted solved. They wanted the immigration issue solved. I mean, I think there's something like 4 million immigrants came into the UK in the last 4 years, most of them unwanted by the British people, let's be frank. And so the solution to that is not to send the illegals home, but to introduce this ridiculous digital ID. I mean, I suspect it's going to be very unpopular in the UK. Of course, as you said, it's going to be mandatory. He's already the most unpopular Prime Minister in British history. I think that's going to get even worse. And there'll probably be riots over this, I imagine, as well. I mean, it is a big change in the political philosophy of British governance, which used to be about free speech and freedom.
What'd you say?
How is the UK a global leader? How are they on the UN Security Council? If you would have been hey, to Churchill at the end of his life, it's hey guy, in 70 years or something or whatever it may be, your island will not be able to defend itself against like civilian boats with migrants. Like,
And it's crazy they could. You see, like she said, like Trump was literally, let's close the border. Border's closed. That's all you have to do. You could just as they say online, you can just do things, Angel.
Dude, you're like you were the first people to circumnavigate the globe. Like you had ownership of the seas during a whole technological era. During two technological eras, during the age of sail and when we went when they went iron and mechanized and all that stuff. Like, and then now England can't even. Oh, that's
you want to know the real crazy thing, right? So this conspiracy theory that you created in your head that was instantly validated 5 minutes later. This is a very, very old conspiracy theory.
Dude, it's not a conspiracy theory.
No,
it's
I know.
Just being evil. It's just put yourselves in the shoes of someone with too much money and too much illusions of grandeur.
Someone that wants to heal the world.
Yeah.
Somebody that wants to heal the world, remake the world. So, really quick, the conspiracy theory is what you exactly said. Okay, but here's the funniest part. It's a widely derided conspiracy theory. In the conspiracy theory, who are the ones who are bringing in migrants or planning on doing it in order to disrupt the native populace? They're not getting along, and then their solution is going to be technocratic surveillance means. Who are the ones that were supposedly behind that conspiracy theory? The Fabian socialists who created the Labor Party, and the Labor Party is behind this.
Shit.
Yeah, you don't. It's not.
Oh my god!
It's just happening. It's completely real. It's completely real. It is not a theory. It is a conspiratorial fact.
Oh.
When and of course, if you
become your global domination,
exactly. It's funny because if you talk to people about this, they'll say they're like, "Oh, you sound crazy." It's like they don't like. Okay, in every country, right? There's always people that are bad, and then they come up with plans in order to hurt people and take over. Now we have a giant interconnected globe with the advent of social media and technology. The whole idea of just taking over a country or a town with some sort of conspiracy, it's just global because now they have the technological means to do it. It's not like people they live. It's like Orwell said. What's the there is no past, there is no present, or no, there is no past, there is no future, or whatever. People just live in the everlasting present, and that's what it is. They assume that like these things of the past aren't going to happen here because our institutions and our government are the good guys. And I'm like, what? Why do you think like the CIA maybe killed JFK, but now you trust them and you want them to defeat Trump? It just makes it's infuriating.
Well, it's because some of the age-old idioms are still true. Like, every government sucks, but democracy sucks the least. Like we're seeing that that's still mostly true. Like, yeah, things are not fun in the United States, but I'd rather be here than in any other dictatorship on planet Earth. Like, or any dictatorship or any other democracy. I'd rather be here than any of the rest. I'd rather be here than any country in Europe, that's for sure. I'd be in jail 80,000 times if I was in England, dear Lord. There's this thing of, or this idea of not wanting to believe that people can be bad, but people are bad and can be bad. And what I think happens is the average peasant doesn't understand how multi-billionaires, how people with absurd amounts of power actually get bored of things. They get bored of having everything that you can possibly have. But most people are like, what are you talking about? I'd travel the world. I'd spend all my time traveling the world, because it's like, okay, but that's your false idol. Your false idol's traveling the world. Your false idol isn't like wanting to control the population and make everyone behave good because, I'm tired of seeing bad things happen. That's not what drives you. And I think that like how personalities, there's like clusters of personalities, there's also clusters to wealth, and many people who fall into wealth is because they want to exercise power over others and just have that obsession of doing so.
Yeah, and especially like those people, they keep looking for more because the things that they're pursuing don't bring any sort of lasting, even if they have families, like I feel like they take the families for granted. and friends, and that's not their main motivator and driver in life. So these things that they're going to be clinging onto as giving them purpose are not going to give them purpose. So they're just going to seek more and more and more. You know?
And the desire for, like, especially for men, this whole thing of legacy is so, and legacy for like a worldwide kind of legacy, not just familial legacy and like, you know, that sort of thing, but making an impact on the world. That, I mean, that drives people mad. That, you know, that drives people to do wild and crazy things because, I don't know, just I'll save the rest for
for the next
Mr. Oracle.
Let's continue with these guys.
And now they're going to introduce this. And, you know, the big concern, I think, for Australians is that this is going to come here too. I mean, we just saw Albanese at the British Labor Party, you know, basically extolling the virtues of Keir Starmer. And so it wouldn't surprise me if we get a similar thing down here too. It's not about immigration ultimately.
No.
It's about controlling people more generally, controlling their speech online in particular. What's probably going to happen in Australia is the government's going to say, we need to do this so that we can verify your age when you log online, and so we know what you're looking at, right? So it's all going to be about saving the children. But really, it just, you know, it just leads to much greater government control.
Absolutely. No, it's not about the children, even though they might say that it is.
So moving on from the Labour Party and Keir Starmer's technocratic sort of surveillance state solution, even though it's not a solution, they just want to, you know, monitor the people so they can control them. There's multiple other ways that current both governments and non-governmental organizations are essentially trying to control what humanity does. Of course, it's always presented as they're just trying to do good things. They want people's lives to be better, but the slippery slope is real. It's not a fallacy. It is just a fact, and we cannot trust these people with anything, which we'll find out here.
Have you ever thought to yourself, I just really wish we could push corporations to be more woke? Well, somebody did. Dip into the alphabet soup and pull out the letters ESG. What is ESG? How is it promoting wokeness? And why does it matter to you? Let's break it down. 2005, the United Nations hosted a conference called Who Cares Wins. Yes, the United Nations did this. I know that seems too cliche, but what can we do? This was the official launch of ESG, a method for holding corporations that are publicly traded on the stock market accountable to the woke left. Over time, this methodology has made its way into the investing mainstream, led in no small part by the powerful investment management company BlackRock. In the past 2 years, BlackRock converted their most popular investment portfolios, marketed to investment advisors and their clients, into portfolios of companies selected based on ESG methodology, guaranteeing that ESG accounts would be used, and incentivizing non-conforming companies to get in on the action, or get left behind. If you have an investment portfolio, there's a chance your account is ESG and you don't even know it. But just what are the ESG standards? To be fair, not everything here is terrible. Things like treatment of employees factor in, but there are also some major red flags. And it's worth noting that most of these standards are anything but objective. Let's take it one letter at a time. E stands for environmental. Now look, we all love our little planet and no one wants to blow it up anytime soon. But we're not talking about just normal conservation. We're talking about Green New Deal agenda environmentalism.
The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. This is our World War II.
So if you promote far left views,
because of Hitler, because of Hitler, we must, because it's Hitler. The global warming, climate change is actually just Hitler. Did you know that?
No. This goes back to John Glubb.
Of course it does.
Look, we don't have a struggle like our greatest generation did in World War II. Like, we're inferior. We're not like, even in our mythos, like, oh, they're the greatest among us and stuff like that. So we have to go back to World War II to invoke, you know, that sense of urgency and you know, catastrophe and stuff like that. That's our last big memory. So I understand why people keep on going back to World War II and doing that sort of thing, but that's what it is. It's this sort of, remember, we're in the age of intellect. We are past war. We don't do that anymore. And we weren't the ones who did World War II. It was Hitler. It was those evil people who thought, you know, in backwards ideas and terrible ideas like racism and all that, just like our founders thought in racism. So it goes back to disliking those kinds of people and just making sure it stays in the past, which, I mean, I sort of agree with that. I don't want any sort of, you know, Nazism or anything like
Well,
that.
no, but they just use it as a political cudgel in order to
Of course,
like,
but
this
it's like,
thing must be defeated.
I mean, what else is she going to use besides World War II to say, oh my God, it's the end of us if we don't? Like, what else is she going to use? Is she going to use like, I don't know,
mean,
like the Mexican-American War? Like, what else is there?
I think we should go way back, and she should have used the meteorite or the meteor that came down to kill the dinosaurs. This is our meteor, is what she should have done. Let's keep going.
Use on the environment. Points for you. S stands for social. How well does your company promote social causes? No, not just any social cause will do. Do you give money to fund BLM riots or other left-wing causes that go against the values of your customers? Then points for you. Are you complicit in the enslavement of millions of Uyghurs over in... Oh, sorry, we don't talk about that. G stands for governance. How is your company governed? Does your board meet the diversity quota? No, I don't mean diversity of viewpoints. I mean skin color. And do you meet the quota for the number of women on your board? No word if there are any biologists on staff to verify. The theory behind ESG, also referred to as sustainable investing, is that companies that meet these woke standards will be more reliable and profitable in the long term. It works out for the management companies like BlackRock because they get to charge more for managing ESG portfolios. As for whether or not ESG portfolios are more profitable for investors, well, we're still waiting for that one to play out. At the moment, the US government's role in pushing ESG has been limited, but that's changing quickly. The Department of Labor is planning to reverse the regulation that requires fiduciaries to select pension and 401k investments based solely on earning potential, opening the door to let them invest your retirement money based primarily on ESG scores instead. And some states, like New York and California, have passed regulations requiring certain ESG disclosures for companies who operate within their borders. If you look to Europe, their regulations are already soaked in required ESG metrics and disclosures. The US may not be far behind. Biden's SEC is currently looking to require companies to disclose their impact on climate change, the government officially propping up the first letter of ESG. But I'm sure it'll stop there. The government knows its bounds, right? But just in case, the American people need to make their voices heard. Businesses should be free to grow and innovate without being drowned in wokeism or in alphabet soup.
It's just crazy because when I try to tell people, like, it's opposing the Democrats is very difficult because it's like, what do you like? Why do you oppose DEI? Like, don't you want people to get better opportunities? Don't you want to help the environment? Right? Don't you want to be?
Why do you hate black people? Don't you?
Yeah, but it's insane though, and I'm like the whole thing. One of the main issues with this sort of like conspiracy to force behaviors, which we'll find out here in a minute, to force behaviors while at the same time introducing all of this like technological advancements. So they'll be watching you to make sure that you do those things. Like, one of the big problems with that is that it sounds crazy, and yet it's not. They openly talk about it. You do have to connect some dots, but once you see that, it's impossible to ignore. So I'm like, okay, so DEI, the Democrats are pushing DEI, equity, all this stuff. At the exact same time, there are like some of the most powerful organizations to ever exist, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, are buying up all the property, so much property in the United States, and they're going to be able to control those properties. While at the same time, they're also pushing ESG metrics in order to essentially create a social credit score for corporations that just so happen to align with the Democrats' massive push for equity. Like, it's just out in the open that the Democrats are doing this, and yet none of their voters know about it. All they want to do is just be nice to black people.
Well, it's because you always have a division between the leadership of a group and then the followers of a group.
Yeah.
Whether it's in a cult with Scientology and, like there's Sea Org and there are different organizations that have no idea about the inner workings and stuff like that, especially because Scientology is the best example because it's literally like it's a paywall. Like, you have to pay money to advance in Scientology. And so it's just genius. It's a genius example, but you have that in everything. I mean, like the Black Lives Matter, like the leaders of it were like a part of their whole message was being against like the nuclear family and other things that weren't like related to BLM. And it's like, oh, right, because these people, like if you're in the far left or the far right, you there is an umbrella around them. And if you believe in one thing, like if you're that far out, if you believe in one thing, you believe in many of the other ideas, that are scattered on that side too. So it sort of all goes together. Like it's sort of, if you know kind of thing. And normies don't know because, they,
now how do you the rabbit hole? Like they could just say a thought terminating cliche, Black Lives Matter, trans rights, human rights, and that's all they need. Like
okay,
hold
on, wait, what's a thought terminating cliche?
It's a short phrase used to stop critical thinking, shut down debate, and avoid complex issues by presenting an idea as self-evident. Trans women are women. Black Lives Matter. ESG, right? It's essentially a corporate social credit score. China already has employed a social credit score for its populations. And I mean, ESG, think about that, right? They're trying to force these businesses to essentially adhere to what they view reality should be like, right? They want more women, they want more transgender people, it's so funny, right? You think about it, and it's like, well, that's just nice. They're just, that's representation. But to really get past the point of the dissonance, you have to realize that all of this is happening, and it's a fantastical idea, and I sound crazy when I say it, but in my opinion, it is all happening because the people that are behind this, that are pushing this, are religious fanatics. So it's not enough to control the world. They want people to believe in their religion and their cosmology. Now, I'm going to make a case for that at the end. But first, I'm going to go here. So we have, was it Larry Fink? Is that his name? He is, I think, no, he's one of the bigwigs in BlackRock. And here he is talking about ESG.
You have to force behaviors. And if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted.
You're gay for saying that.
At BlackRock, we are forcing behaviors.
Openly admitting that is what ESG is. It is forcing behaviors. It is forcing people to believe in your ideology. You convince all these people to believe your ideology, you could eventually convince them to do whatever you want because they'll be like, basically their metaphysics are your metaphysics. They believe the same things that you believe in, even though these people don't even realize that that's what's happening to them. Like you're saying, the disconnect between the Democratic leaders, the elites, and their voters. These people don't want anything to do with this. They just have no idea that it's happening.
This is no different from, I don't know, the medieval times where you went to church and it's like everyone has to believe the same thing, or you have to go to church, and if you don't go to church, you're going to be fucking ostracized. And you saw that in Puritan America, and one of the, you see this with the Pilgrims and stuff, like, oh, you didn't go, like you weren't part of the community, you get booted. And so they're trying to make the community a worldwide community instead of a local community, and instead of being bonded by religion or skin color or whatever it is, it's it's based on these ideas of being anti-racist and anti-bigoted and accepting to all sort of thing, like some sort of kumbaya bullshit. Like that's all it is. It's just an extension of that.
Yeah, and that's what Mao did in China. He dressed a lot of what he was saying in, he was being a good person. He was bringing this truth to these people. That's what the worst people, and that's why my former colleague often says that fascists are just honest communists. Because the fascists will just tell you what they want to do to you, whereas the communists still do the same thing. They just pretend that they're doing it to help you. I don't like. I'm not fascist, but I admire that, the upfrontness of it, as opposed to the enslavement by deception.
Yeah, and another thing, like I think part of the reason why there's some sort of like innocence or naivete in a lot of normies is they just don't know basic history. Basic middle school history, like the Sedition Act of 1798, like made it illegal to speak out against the government or being disloyal to the United States or having contempt for the government or the US flag. Like this, like none of this shit is new. Like 1790, how like we just fought a war. Like we just had George Washington. This is George Washington's vice fucking president saying, we're going to put you in jail or for speaking badly against the government. Like how? You defended the freaking people in the Boston Massacre. You defended the British soldiers in the Boston Massacre. You're a goddamn lawyer and you're going to do this? Yeah, it's because you ascended to the government. Like, fuck you. Like, And that's the thing. Like, if everyone in the United States knew that we ourselves betrayed the First Amendment, like less than 20 years into the country's history, none of this would be surprising. It's like, oh yeah, like it's politicians being politicians. Yeah,
and they're completely. I'm gonna play this video next after this, but yeah, they're completely demoralized. They a lot of people have no ability anymore to understand what is happening.
Okay, but hold on. But even if there's a damn good reason to be demoralized, like what can you do? You have no. If you're the average citizen, you have no choice in whoever is elected. You have no idea how that process even works because you have to go all the way downtown. You don't have the time because you have kids to raise. They have to go to school and soccer practice and all this stuff. And then you have to go to work and you might be going to school and then you have your significant other to deal with, blah, blah, blah. Like, what the fuck? When do I have time to go to downtown for a school board meeting or anything like that? Especially when they happen, I don't know, when I'm working. Like, there's no possible way to even be involved in any local government or anything. You either have to be like homeless or you have to have no job or anything like that, or you have to be a rich, privileged person to even have an opportunity to get in there. So of course you're demoralized.
Yeah, but the thing is though, like demoralization is so like, but there are people that are actively pushing for these things. They think they're helping, but they're actually basically building a cage around themselves. They're participating in their own enslavement, and yet they think that it's a good thing. And then you tell those people that it's a bad thing and show them the evidence. Yuri Bezmenov talked about this. That you show them the evidence and they just stare at it. I've done this to multiple people. Just complete, not just demoralized in terms of spirit, but they're demoralized in that you could show them reality and they don't believe it.
There's always some power involved in the question of surveillance. There's always power over others by some. So there's bound to be some tension in the notion of surveillance. From the 20th century, we see state surveillance growing quite rapidly with the development of computer-based communications and computer-based storage.
That's what I was saying before, right? It says they've always surveilled us. They've always tried to control you and make you do what they want. But now, like, their capabilities can actually allow them to achieve what they're looking to achieve, which to me seems to be just complete subjugation to their insane ideas.
And collection of data. 9/11 was a turning point. It was a turning point for a number of reasons.
Dude, you're almost, well, you're 38, 30. Nothing, I know everyone talks about COVID and stuff, but nothing has been the same since 9/11. You know, like it was, there was like the Gulf War and Korea and Vietnam, but it just seems, maybe it's just because we're getting older and we're more connected now technically with the internet, but it just seems like the world has been in a chaotic tailspin since 9/11.
Yeah, like absolutely nothing was the same after 9/11. Like there's the new BC AD is 9/11. Like there's that's one of the things I try to tell my students, like the 90s and that pre 9/11 world, like that was an actual moment. That was a moment in history that just can never come back. And that's they all look at me and they're like, like my parents tell me that all the time. It's like all my students whose parents were here, just like me, born and raised, second generation. It was a special time.
But this meme, it's an overshared meme, but it's just
Oh my God. It is always shared, but every time I look at it, it haunts me. It haunts me. I don't know if it's just the gray and just the vision of the future. I don't know if it's the little innocent girl, like, or if it's, I don't know. Maybe it's just that type of photo that came from the 90s and it's just immediate nostalgia. It's like smelling a
grainy
when you're 7 years old.
No, I agree with you. The little girl is that, right? She represents everything's been fucked for a long time, but a lot of it was behind the curtain back in the 90s. So the little girl, I feel like, does represent the innocence that
kids don't even look like that anymore. Like they.
No, they still do.
No, like they have some type of iPad attached to them, and they're all looking down or some shit like that. Like, just even like the dress, the clothing, like it's different. Like
it is.
People look at that. Modern kids will look at that and be like, "Is that person Amish?"
But what was unprecedented was the response to it. The immediate creation, for example, in the US of the Department of Homeland Security, which very quickly was turning actually to corporations for their source of information on how to understand a situation such as had just emerged. After 9/11, you have just a very few years later, the development of the one of the very earliest major social media platforms, which was Facebook.
Which is, I think it's basically been revealed that Facebook is a government operation, basically, right? It's you could share your entire life on here. It's definitely everything we're participating in, what's happening on X. It's definitely not, what is it, a 1,000 or 100 flowers campaign where Mao in China pretended to allow everyone to criticize the government. So that was him basically finding out who criticized him. And so then after that, he stopped pretending and then either like imprisoned or killed them. Like, that's definitely not what's happening to us, right?
Well, I mean, okay, so when this is funny because this just recently happened to me. So when your boss is like, "Hey, there's a survey, like, can you give me feedback and like on you working here and all that?" And it's like, "Oh, I want you to be honest." And it's like, "But do you actually want me to be honest?"
Or your wife, when
yeah, yeah. Like, well, whenever your wife is like, "Let's talk," or "We need to talk," I was like, "Oh fuck, it's terrible." It's like I'd rather have a talk with my boss at that point. No, but oh my gosh.
Here, I'll keep going.
Keep on going. Just keep on going.
And the data from social media, which originally people thought, oh, well, this has to do with content of communications. But the critical thing was that there were other kinds of data involved, what get called metadata. So in other words, the source of data about data. Who made it? Who was the recipient? How long was the call, or how complex was the message? And what were the locations of those two people? And so once that was realized, it wasn't just the commercial usefulness of those metadata, it was the...
Really quick, I've said this a bunch of times, but I just had to say, if we want to stop this, all we have to do is just throw our smartphones in the nearest river. Anyways.
Security consequences, or the security potential. A dozen or so years after 9/11, you have the astonishing revelations from Edward Snowden about the National Security Agency, the NSA. The revelations that Snowden made were that the data that customers had entrusted to the corporations were actually being used by the NSA in their national security intelligence gathering. There's an increasing challenge today to anyone who would try to rebuild trust. As a means to that, I think there are ways in which we can think of data itself as being an entity that is subject to norms of justice. What is a fair use of my personal data?
Digital Bill of Rights?
I mean, a start is just paying me because you've used my data and like
right,
hundreds or thousands. Like the United States government could have really done anything, any word or letter to help this. Like, hey, maybe you should like pay people for their data, like something like that. I don't know.
If you're gonna enslave us,
I don't fucking know. Like,
if you're gonna enslave us, at least pay us, right?
Yeah,
I mean, come
for
on.
real. Like, and no one knew how to monetize it. It's like, okay, well, yeah, fuck, dude, whatever. Like,
yeah, okay, it's almost like
a proportional use. I think it's important for us to pay attention, not only to what the outcomes are, but to start way back with the collection. Is it reliable data in the first place? Data that may be skewed in terms of race or gender or socioeconomic positioning. This is something that affects all of us, and therefore all of us ought to be concerned.
There's a bunch of conspiracy theories around 9/11, and I don't know what to believe. I don't know what not to believe, but the fact that the giant push for this, it seems as if for this kind of stuff to happen, they really needed a giant tragedy in order to install this stuff to wear away at our liberties. So it's like, did it happen and they just took advantage of it, or was it orchestrated? I don't
You know,
know.
it's funny. The whole shock and awe of George W. Bush. They kept on saying, "Oh, they're going to see shock and awe, shock and awe." The whole thing about that was the shock and awe was 9/11 itself. That was the shock and awe. Like
Really
the
was.
shock and awe was the fact that we were controlled by 3 or 4 colors for almost a decade. Like the shock and awe was the fact that we spent trillions of dollars in a war that the average citizen saw nothing but trauma and bullshit from. Like that's the infuriating thing about the whole 9/11 thing. Like we were the ones subjected to that.
Yeah, and remember how you brought up Palantir before? Well,
Yeah,
we're gonna bring up something.
I don't know anything about Palantir. That's the thing, except like Peter Thiel, something,
yeah,
offshoot of CIA or whatever. Like,
yeah, it's yeah. So, anyways, so Peter Thiel and Alex Karp have their own thing with Palantir. Another big person in the sort of technocratic surveillance group of people is Larry Ellison, and Trump is severely in bed with Larry Ellison.
2025, and you're watching the Code Report. Project Stargate is an AI infrastructure project where the goal is to invest $500 billion in the United States to build data centers. Now, this project is not actually funded by taxpayers, but instead will come from investors secured by the Japanese bank, SoftBank. Masayoshi Son is the money guy, Sam Altman is the gadgets guy, and Larry Ellison is the muscle. These data center facilities will require tons of energy, and Trump is the gas man who will get that done by using executive orders to divert power to get these things built, which they claim will create 100,000 new jobs, which will then be eliminated by AI when they finish building this thing. On the bright side, this project could make AI cheaper and more accessible, and they're really hyping up its medical benefits, where Larry Ellison said it will enable personalized medicine for everyone, and that it should be able to develop customized mRNA vaccines to cure cancer. But he also has a dystopian vision for society where everything is monitored by AI to keep citizens on their best behavior.
That's one of the reasons why I vote for Trump. Oh, okay. So, like, I mean, like the big theory, the big conspiracy theory, the big bad that we're currently facing are insane people in positions of power that want to use technology to watch us and make us do what they want to do. And then Trump gets right in bed with them.
Police will be on their best behavior because we're constantly recording, watching and recording everything that's going on. Citizens will be on their best behavior because
fuck you.
We're constantly recording and reporting everything that's going on. And it's unimpeachable. The cars have cameras on them. All right, I think we have a squad car here someplace. But those kind of applications using AI, if we can use AI, and we're using AI to monitor the video, and if there's a problem, AI will report the problem and report it to the appropriate person, whether it's the sheriff or the chief or whomever we need to take control of the situation. We have, same thing. We have drones. We just, if there's something going on in a shopping center, and I'll stop. A drone goes out there, get there way faster than a police car. There's no reason for, by the way, high-speed chases. You shouldn't have high-speed chases between cars. You just have a drone follow the car. I mean, it's very, very simple.
I am completely willing to accept the massive amount of casualties that may happen in a high-speed pursuit in order for this man's vision for humanity to not come to fruition. I'm just going to go ahead and if I get run over, I'll be okay with it. I'll be okay with it. That's what everyone's always like, oh, I need guns to protect myself in case the government comes after me. No. You need portable tactical EMPs. Get about 100,000 of them. So that way when a drone comes at you, you can just shock it with an EMP and watch it crash to the ground. That's what you need.
Oh no. Remember in the first Matrix when those like fucking squid things come after the guys, like the people who are on the outside? I'm just thinking like, the government coming after you is much more gonna be those squid things than actual people in like 3 decades.
Yeah,
that is actually terrifying. Oh no. Now look, I see videos of like people getting ganged up on or like getting their ass kicked, and the assailants just walk away, and there's just there's no immediate consequence, and it really pisses me off when I see those videos, and I wish there's immediate consequences. So I sort of understand where he's coming from with that.
You could understand where they're coming from all of this. It's just the fact that it's going to be used for evil.
But that's also psychotic. Like this. Hold on, really? We're going to be on our best behaviors?
And the thing is, the
thing. Like, you know what he didn't say? He didn't say, I'm going to be on my best
I
behavior.
was just going to say that
He never fucking
they're
said
not.
that. Oh, I'm sorry for stealing it. Go ahead.
We're all going to be living in pods and being surveilled, and we're going to be forced to do what they want us to do. But they're just going to be gallivanting around the world with some sort of serum to create immortality for themselves or upload their quote unquote consciousness into a machine so they can live forever. We're not. We're just plebs. We'll do what we're told as they use us for fuel.
And this is just the problem with the feudalism class or the managerial class, whatever you want to call them. It's the same bullshit. It's these people who want to control hundreds of thousands or millions of people around them, or whomever in their vicinity. But they want to control people in their vicinity. And now we're a worldwide species, so the whole world is your vicinity. So inevitably, that's where we are.
So the big leap that people have to make for me personally, this is what I believe, to truly understand why people would do this. Why are they pushing for diversity? Why are they trying to wear away at the distinctions between humans and what makes us human? And I think it has to do with their religion. You guys, if you don't follow him, follow Yuri Bezmenov's Ghost online. Amazing follow. He says Marx's early work, Karl Marx, when he was closely aligned with Moses Hess, is where to best see the rupture, elect-led repair, and by elect, right, the elite, return, or the elect, to the people that have been chosen to commit this praxis to change the world, to heal the world. Rupture, elect-led repair, return to wholeness arc. It's not subtle. Marx explicitly casts communism as a conscious return, a resolution of contradictions, and history's riddled solve. So if it is to believe, I've talked about this before, I believe in the first episode, the very elite people in the world believe in this ideology of repairing the world. That the world was created by accident, and there's all these little bits of divine sparks hidden within these husks. They can be people, they can be objects, they can be the material world, the earth. And they're seeking to resolve all of these contradictions and remove evil from the world by basically slowly blurring the lines between those distinctions until everything is sort of just this homogenous, this is a metaphor, but like a homogenous pile of gray goo. That's what inclusion means. That's what equity means. So a lot of these people believe in this. Now, Moses Hess.
Hold on, wait a second. Because a few years ago, I got this idea in my head, and it was a few years before I met you, and it's really interesting because it sort of popped into my head that, like, what if there is this thing called truth, but in the beginning, it was shattered into many different pieces. And wait a second, work with me here. And it was
profit.
It was scattered throughout time and space, but like kind of like Dragon Ball Z. But it was scattered throughout, and that's the thing. There's little glimpses and bits of truth in different kinds of religions. There's certain truisms like life to live is to suffer, or that is definitely true for so depending on the person, but a lot of the time living is suffering.
That's a very Buddhist. That's a very Buddhist tenet. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's truisms you can find in different places. Not to say that like, oh, this. And the idea is not you. It's very difficult. Excuse me, for you to find, the whole truth in something. That's why people sort of look, and the idea is sort of to find them and like discover them, and maybe advertise them to the world, I guess. The idea is, and I think I want to put the most positive spin on this as possible. Mm-hmm. So the fact that there's this shattered truth broken, and found in different parts of the world, that's why if you look at ancient myths, there's a lot of commonality, especially with the flood and stuff like that. So if we would to bring people together, people of different religions, of different creeds, of different cultures, and bring them together, we would synthesize, holy shit, a sort of this new blended future, or this like integrated future in which, you know, we don't have to be separated by Christianity versus Islam. We don't have to be separated between rich versus poor. We don't need to be separated between different currencies. Am I talking about the Tower of Babel? Holy shit.
Yes. Now, really quick. So what, this is the big leap I was talking. So, okay. So people want to control you. They want, okay, but like, why are they doing it? What if, right? They've sort of convinced us that we live in this, you know, post-religious secular world, right? But there's so many theories about it. The elites, they believe very firmly in their faith. So what would you do? Like, it's not just enough to force people to do stuff. You could force them to do it, but if you think that your religion is true and that the cosmology of your religion is true, that there are these little divine sparks all over the place and we have to discover them and wear away at the distinctions that, you know, make us different, you want people to believe it. Imagine being so full of hubris that you would actually try through these means that we've shown here to manipulate the world and get it to reflect your actual cosmology. Yuri, and it's like that's like to me like the final leap in this conspiratorial thinking, because like I feel like nobody believes in good and evil anymore. Oh, areas of gray, everything is areas of gray. And it's like, no, there have always been evil people trying to do evil things. You know, Hitler, Mao, Stalin, they all wanted to spread their crap all over the world and get people to do what they say, and they always did it with authoritarian means. And that's what these people are doing. They're trying to supposedly get rid of all of these bad things, but I'm really sorry, but the bad things are built into what makes us human. Like, yes, you would like to develop some kind of technology in order to, you know, help a little kid walk again, in order to cure cancer or cure grandma of her Alzheimer's. But it's like, who's doing it? Can you trust them? And at what cost are they doing this for? You know?
Yeah, but so I'm sort of taking in a different direction.
Sure.
More of a what if, or I wonder if this is going to happen again. Because in the ancient times, in the Roman times, there were slaves who lived better than free people, because they had, you know, whatever job or profession they had was nicer, because instead of working in the docks or, you know, being like working in, you know, some sort of backbreaking job, I was a tutor and I taught people how to speak Greek. And so I wonder if in the future, you know, when we get really into the age of decadence and dystopia and just like, you know, really just weird shit.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's going to be like a separation in society where some people are going to choose, quote unquote, the easy way out and, like, you know, live off of like the government, like slave.
Are you kidding me? A bunch of people are going to do that.
Which is the government slave wages is going to be, you know, actually a lot of money and stuff.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though.
In its own way.
Here's the thing, though, is that like a vet, like so that's the problem with like a social safety net, like welfare and stuff. Like so America is supposedly built on the free market. I know there's almost like not even really a free market, but still, if you are enterprising enough,
regulated.
If you are enterprising enough, you can still create a business. Lots of people are still creating successful businesses. So the thing, right? I mean, I always think, right, the thing is that the more you introduce concepts that are in conflict with the dominant mode of like governance and organizing society, the less the original form of organization is going to work. So like the more people that embrace that, it's going to further destabilize society to the point where eventually everybody's going to be forced to embrace that. Like, you know, it slowly wears away at the existing order, and then it'll be replaced with a new order. So that's why, again, slippery slope. It's
No, I know. I think at this point where we are in the world, it's more of a fallacy to say that something is a slippery slope than the slippery slope itself.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's pretty much it. I did want to end. I feel like we should end every episode on a high note. And what I'm going to end on tonight is this. Andrew Tate was in a boxing match. And I'm sure everybody, whoever's listening, knows who Andrew Tate is. I despise Andrew Tate. He's a garbage human being who has abused women and trafficked them. And yeah, I know someone in real life, a young guy, he's like 23, 24. All he does is talk about Andrew Tate. And I hate it. I hate evil men co-opting the minds of young men and taking advantage of them. And he was in a boxing match today. Let's check that out.
A shot like that?
Oh!
Absolutely not. It's too easy to see. And, Andrew Tate's simply fatigued, and he wasn't able to get out of the way of it. Too much weight. Beautiful shot by Chase. Around the Chase more. Clearly dominated in round 5. A shot like
That's
that.
it. That's it. I just wanted to watch Andrew Tate get punched in the face. That's all I wanted.
Oh my God, that's guy's so toxic.
He's just terrible, and he's he was like a degenerate, and then he embraced Islam, but he's like still a degenerate. He's not even abiding to like conservative Islam standards, but then he's like pushing this conservative he's not even really pushing a conservative thing, right? I mean, all he says is fuck bitches and get money. Like is basically what he's doing. He's just a horrible.
He's basically pushing the rap music ethos without pushing the bad rap music. That's basically all it is. Like,
and that's what's happening. Yeah, on the right. Sorry, go ahead.
No, he's just I don't know. He had his time to shine. He made his money. All right, fine, whatever. Ignore him. Like like anything he says is just a derivative of fuck bitches, be hard, like a fake David Goggins kind of thing. Like, I'll be a tough guy without actually being a tough guy who can endure pain and have stamina and stuff like that. It's just, it's just sort of the Gilded Age in a human being. Like, that's all it is.
That's it, everybody. Thank you for listening. Appreciate our 2 listeners. I really do appreciate you. And remember,
best.
Yes, thank you. And remember, we're all retarded here, but we can try to be a little less retarded. And Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas, son. Oh my God.
We wish you a limiting principle Christmas. We wish you a limiting principle Christmas. We wish you a limiting principle Christmas and a non-retarded year. Never be retarded on Christmas. Rage and retardation on Christmas. Death to retardation on Christmas. Have a very Merry Christmas and don't be retarded, but bring a helmet just in case. Have a very Merry Christmas while watching the Limiting Principle Podcast.